think I'm on. So thank you for being here. I am Antoine. I'm the founder and CEO of Albert Technology, which started a bit less than 6 years ago in Hong Kong. Today I will try not to talk too much about the product, but much more about data. So I will cover the subject of data with user experience. That's one of our main driver for enhancing the journey of our customer. At any point, please feel totally free to ask questions. I will anyway let time for the Q&A at the end, but I always find it very interesting to have live question about a specific subject that you might be interested in. But my presentation otherwise will be around 4 questions related to data. So to give you a quick overview of what Albert does, we started with training about 5 years ago to provide mobile content, mobile training content to dispatch employees. So mostly retail, as my background is coming from Christian Dior, first in Europe and then in the Middle East. We were trying to build a system that would help teams being dispatched in random locations far from their headquarters with a strong brand identity and a lot of information to read about the products, to get a better understanding and a very accessible way to have information to do their job. So that's how Albert was born, as a mobile app to provide on a daily basis content to remote teams. So now we are enriching this approach with communications, content from different departments, because we realized that if our consumer had a good experience on our app, they were coming back. We were having a good retention, so we realized that making it easy for everyone to have access to information was pushing people to read more information. So how did we get to know that? That was all about data. So that would be the first questions I will be what data are we talking about? We're an enterprise company, so the data that we collect is about our enterprise user. Our users, they range from sales associates to manager to headquarter people, so from Japan to the US to France to the Middle East. So we have a wide range of data that allows us to study behaviors of users on the job. So I would say the most important data for us to understand is what is the behavior of our users on the app. When do they connect on our app? How long they spend on the app? How is the journey on this app? Why is that important? It's because all these users, they have the journey the same as a consumer journey on a consumer app. If they are happy on your app, they come back. If their experience is easy, they come back. Because it's their job, we have to make it easy. If it's not user-friendly, if it's not very simple to use, they won't come back. It's really a problem that we have, especially in learning, is to get people back onto our app. So our way of tracking is really simple. When the user connects, it starts its journey. Where does it connect from? So usually on our side is from the notification. They get notifications every morning. And from this notification, they arrive to either questions or content. From that, they go through the app. And we realized actually step by step that some content they would like more, some actions they would do more often. Like we have an element called the daily challenge, which is a question that they have to answer every day. And this is something that is a real driver. We have the notification for this daily challenge around 8 a.m. in each time zone. We have a peak of connection at 8 a.m. every day, even though people are not really on the job already, but because they have the notification, they react to it. Pretty much the same as in the B2C journey. When you have a notification, you have a much higher chance that your consumer connects. So all this data is gathered. Of course, it's data that is private to the company. We work enterprise, so the only purpose of this data is really to help our users have a better journey and help our buyers understand what's happening. on the product. So using it as a driver for design and for success. There is two sides of data. You have all the data that we collect from the user and that helps us build the consumer journey. So this data, as I was mentioning earlier, is all about the behavior of the user on the app. What is the journey? How can we improve the journey? What can we have as the most qualitative data possible? Quantitative is easy. You get that from number of connection, time connected, clicks on the app, where does the user drop. But the quantitative is even more important because it gets you real feedback from the user. So this is likes, it's comments on the content, and it's answers to surveys. All of this we gather, we learn about it, and then it's our driver for design. To design the user experience, so to make the app better, but also to design our customer experience. The person who is buying our product, they need to understand what they are paying for. With the data that they can read on their dashboards, it's not the same as what we use for the user design. It's really user that is more performance oriented. How many of my users are connected? Once again, how often this is common, how often do they connect? What is their performance on the app? What do they like? In the end, it's all the thing. What am I paying for? We need to understand all of that. So using data as a driver allows us to really deeply understand the needs of the customer, our purchasing customer, as well as our user behavior. That leads to today, and that's something that we are really proud of, and we are working to maintain. It's been now 3 years that we are maintaining over 70% connections, and the average in Asia is actually over 90%, which is quite amazing. Why? Because we study this data. We make it super important for us as a driver to understand the data, to see how we can act on it and to maintain this retention. So for instance, in your business, you can have a lot of data, but if you don't track it and if you don't set, I would say, alerts to it, you can't really create an action. What we believe at Albert is really create actions. It means that if you target a particular client and you don't have that 70%, you're going to try to understand why. And that's the beauty about the user data, is that you can really dig deep. You have a trend. Of course, you will say, okay, we have an average of 70% worldwide, very good. But if I have a country that is at 95 and I have another country who is more like 65, 60 or less, you have to dig a bit deeper into that. So the overall data, the mass of data is interesting, but it's also super important to go a bit deeper on the details of data. What do I have? Where do I have this data? What is my major trends? What are all my minor trends? And how I can improve all these minor trends to make my global trend much better. So it's really understanding your customer. Our data makes our understanding of our customer really interesting. You can understand the success of the brand. So that's the overall number. And then you can dig deeper into why. Why do we have lower data in some countries at some times? Why do we have much bigger data in other countries at other times? Why is this particular location underperforming? And then not everything can be dealt with data. So then come the human contact. If we have a data that says, for instance, we have less than 30% connections for over a month in a particular location or a group of locations, what are we going to do? Just say, oh, too bad, we have 30%. No, try to isolate where is your data problem. Try to see if it's actually a real behavior or if you have a data inconsistency at some point. And if it's a real user problem, it gets down to, okay, can we contact this user? Do we have the authorization from the brand to contact the user, or do we have to allow the brand to communicate with them? So we can set the human contact to actually understand their experience and try to help them have a better experience onto the app. So that's how, on our side, we will create this final user experience by identifying challenges and also very high successes to connect with the human that are behind this data and get to understand, okay, why are you overperforming? How can we help you perform even better? Can you be a champion of this program and actually help us go further to test and understand and design new features? And on the other side, when we have very bad data, try to understand, okay, what's happening? Do you have any technical issues? Is there something we can do to make your experience better onto the app? Or is it because it's part of the work culture in your country that you're not really going often to this app? So we can, for instance, identify a trend that is pretty interesting in between Asia in general and Europe as a whole. In Asia, you would have a lot of shorter connections every day, when in Europe especially, you have more of like 3 connections per day, but longer. So it's different work behaviors. And at the beginning, we didn't know. We were like, okay, that's strange because we have like longer connections in Europe, much shorter connection in Asia, but much more regular. So we dig down, and it was just questions of habits. So we had to question ourselves on, okay, how do we make that better? How do we incite people to actually connect regularly instead of waiting for like a few days and then read longer? Because the whole objective is for them to have a very short and very simple and very efficient experience. So we bite-sized, and then we created kind of a fear of missing out points, so they are actually incentivized to connect every day. So data is the answer of pretty much everything. It helps you to really understand what's happening very quickly, understand problems. Because if you have a technical problem, your data will show it at the same minute. Drops in connections, users disconnected, you can actually react before the service support is like, okay, I don't understand, it's not working. No, you have the data that helps you react technically very quickly. And then to dig deeper, to really go and understand the users, to transform this data into human information and to improve the whole process. That leads to really my last point, and here I will make a bit of a bridge in between the consumer world and enterprise world that we are working in today. Data for the last years has been really used, not against the user, but to me, and that's my belief, to a bit take advantage of the final user. Collecting a lot of data to profile the users, to understand what they like, what they don't like, how they behave, to in the end place ads and sell more. When I have conversations about Facebook with friends, they always tell me, okay, yes, but Facebook is so powerful and it's free and it's awesome. And I was like, guys, yes, you can tell me it's awesome, you cannot tell me it's free. Because in the end, it's not free. The cost of using this, being Facebook or being Google Maps or being whatever service that you're using, the cost of using is your data. Because this company collects a lot of data and understand you. We're doing the same, but what we believe at Albert is really that we don't want to make the user the product. We want to, yes, collect this data, yes, understand this data, but for a purpose, which is to help the user have an outstanding experience and help the company understand what's happening with that product. So being very transparent with data, explain it as much as possible, and return the benefit of data to their user. We all have a choice to make in terms of data, because for instance, yes, I decide myself to use Google Maps as I know they are collecting my data. However, I'm ready to pay the price because it's a service that they give me. However, I would not be ready to give my data to Facebook because I don't see the purpose of it. So in the end, I choose consciously to not give my data to them. For the enterprise user, it's the company who decides. It's the company who owns the data. It's an enterprise tool, and each user, of course, owns their own data, but it's collected into a professional environment. So this really must be something that is for the use of the final company, the client company, and really to the benefits of the final user. So I will switch now. I have talked enough, I guess. I will switch to any of your questions. If you have, let me check if some questions were asked in the meantime. If you have any questions related to data, related to maybe what we do, also do not hesitate to share now. Okay, if you have any further questions, I'm going to hand over to the next company. If you have any questions about us, do not hesitate to visit our virtual booth. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attention, and have a good conference day. Bye bye.